Hello and welcome, my name's Glorious Badger. Today we'll be painting Valerian's head. Valerian, you might ask? Yes. Well, here is his head. It has been sort of zenithal highlighted. And here is his body. I have painted this previously in a sort of gold non-metallic style. Unfortunately, I did not record it. So we're going to have to try and attempt to do something at some point. However, P3, Khardic flesh. I promise it says it there. It has worn away quite some time ago. Next up, we've got P3 Midlund flesh. P3 Rin flesh. We do have Pallid Wych flesh just in case. We've also got P3 Murderous magenta, one of my favourites. And we've also got P3 Meridius blue. However, to begin with, we are going to use Khardic flesh. I have thinned this paint down a fair amount. Truth be told, I thinned it down too much. I think I had slightly too much water in the brush, and I hadn't noticed. I should have really checked on my thumb or a bit of tissue paper. That doesn't matter. It just means it's going to take a bit longer and another few coats, and we will be there eventually. As you can see, that paint is not going to be drying too quickly. So I'm going to make the most of it and make sure it runs into all the sort of crevices and things. We got the eye sockets, we got the hair around, the skin around the hairline. I don't think I got his right ear. I do believe I missed his right ear entirely. Hopefully I'll get it on this pass. This paint is slightly thicker. It is still thinned down a fair amount. Probably one more coat after this and we should be good. Still not really, it doesn't look like I've paid too much attention to either of the ears, truth be told, at this point. I know the left got a tiny bit. His right ear is completely ignored at this point, I think. So hopefully I'm going to remedy that situation. All right, this paint is dried, so we're going to do another coat. Paint, oh, there we go, finally got the ears, well done, Badger. Making sure that paint gets into all the crevices. Slightly too thick on under the nose, so we got it just to be on the safe side there. Get the temple areas. He has got that scar over his right eye. Managed to get a bit of paint into his right ear, thankfully. Get his chin, cheeks, temple areas again. Go on, get that ear. There we go. A bit of paint in there finally. We're just really going to wait for this to dry, which we have done. This is, I think, the last coat. Has been very thin, so that's absolutely fine. Certainly better than one very thick coat which hides all the detail. Getting those ears. All right, there we go. So we've got Midlund flesh. We're going to hit the bridge of the nose, the eyebrows, the forehead. He has got a scar on his above his right eye. So we do want to leave that little bit of a gap in the little sort of scar tissue, I guess. We want to get the cheekbones. We want to get the whatever that, I can't remember what that muscle is. Goes from the cheekbone down to the jaw. We want to get the sort of slightly out of focus there, unfortunately. The nostrils. Trying to get all the forehead there. Now we do have to get the chin, the sort of top lip area. There we go, we got the chin. We want to get the lower parts of the jaw as well. Making sure we've got the nostrils. Painting down the side of the bridge. Okay, there we go. There we go, we've got the cheekbones up there, we've got the top of the ears. Managing to get some paint into the temple as well, which is good. Another bit just on the cheekbones. The side of the face. Getting underneath his eyes. Getting the bridge of the nose, the forehead again. Slightly out of focus, I do apologise. We will eventually get... this is still old footage. There we go, getting the lower part of the jaws. Cheekbone there. He's starting to come together slowly. I haven't really done the left side of his face, like where it goes from his cheekbone down to his jaw. Worrying about his forehead bit, going over to the temple. Well, there we go. There's a bit of paint for me. The lower part of the sort of cheek, jaw area. I'm going to leave a bit of a shadow underneath the cheekbone. In the tops of the ears, still slightly out of focus. I do apologise. Got the chin nicely done. We got the top. Are we doing the top lip yet? It looks like we're avoiding it. Look at that brush. I think this is a size 2 at the moment. I was being quite stubborn about refusing to go over to size 0 or something at this point. There we go. We finally got that top lip. Both sides as well. And the bottom lip. We're bringing that lip down to the lower jaw. And also this entire video is at a lower resolution as well. I've been streaming over on Twitch at twitch.tv/gloriousbadger. And I was streaming at 720p. And I forgot to change the resolution when I was recording. So I do apologise. But it's recorded footage and it would be a shame to miss out on it. Right. So what am I doing here? It's quite the question indeed. As you can see, the sides of the nose probably need a bit more paint, in my opinion. Gonna get the bridge again. Get the chin. Get the forehead. Tops of the ears. Tops of the cheekbones, the cheeks. Yeah, I think like the side of the nose going down towards the eyes, that needs a bit of color, a bit more definition. It's currently in a bit too much shadow, so that is an error that I'm hoping I fix. Making sure that top lip gets done. There we go. Got a bit more paint on the side of the nose. Not quite enough. Looking back at it now, such is the joy of hindsight. I have managed to get his lower eyelid as well. Certainly his right lower eyelid. Or our left as we're looking at it. I can't quite remember if I did his left one at this point. Okay, slightly out of focus. He's starting to come together. Looking pretty snazzy, I'm thinking. Still with his size 2 brush. Keep going, Badger, you can do it. Alright, here we go. So, what have we got here? More Midlund flesh. A little bit more. Is Midlund flesh? Getting the tops of the cheekbones. You can see his right eyelid has been punched in color-wise. We're leaving a bit of sort of texture over that scar. I'm going to hopefully come in later with a Murderous magenta glaze to add a bit of color in there. Where are we going next? Finally getting that bit there. Am I going to get the top of the earlobe? Top of the ear. Getting that bit, bringing it back into the lower jaw. Hopefully I'm going to bring the cheekbone into that. And then maybe okay, I'm finally going down the sides of the bridge of the nose. Finally. Got there in the end. It's starting to look good in my opinion. Obviously we got a ways to go. We'll get there in the end. Rin flesh time. Alright, here we go. So on with the Rin flesh. Okay, let's get the highlight at the top of the bridge of the nose, right where it hits the brow. That's where I used to highlight the end of the nose. I've now moved that highlight generally up the bridge of the nose towards where it hits the brow. Okay, we're getting tops of the cheekbones. We're getting the little wrinkle going down from his eye. There we go. Getting that in there. I'm thinking he's starting to come together. Getting the chin. Getting the sides of the nostrils or whatever those bits are. It's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with him. I certainly enjoyed painting this miniature, and I would absolutely paint another one at some point. Okay, so we're going to get down that wrinkle going from his sort of eye down the side of his mouth. Some of his forehead, the brows. Brightening him up a little bit. There we go. Finally, we got the side of the nose. Well done. Glad you got there in the end. Even if you are out of focus. Yep. Alright. Now what's the deal? We've got a sort of central bit of light down the center of his face. Am I ever going to change to a smaller brush? Not anytime soon by the looks of it. This is a bit watered down, so we're just kind of massaging the paint into position, making sure we lighten up the top of the nose. The side of the brow, the sort of eyebrow area, across the scar. I'm just bringing that Rin flesh down from, from the top of the forehead down to the brow before I move the brush away. That's where the majority of the paint will get dropped. Trying to get that lower eyelid, which I managed to get with this massive brush. Getting that forehead again. Low, end of the bit of the chin, the sort of lower jaw area. Must say, yep, I'm liking this. It's looking pretty good to me. One can always do better though. All right. I recorded this a while ago. Oh my god, this brush is just okay. Gonna get the top of that nose bit again. The cheeks, top of the, not the cheeks, the cheekbone, the chin. That's right underneath his eye. Brightening up the top of his forehead again, making sure we got a bit of color around that scar. Is it a fresh scar? Is it an old scar? I don't know. I suppose there are a variety of different ways you could paint it up. There we go. Make sure we get the chin. Lovely jubbly. All right. I think we're finally going to get some paint on those eyes. We are going to use, I believe, a tiny bit of Pallid Wych flesh for the whites of the eyes. This brush is somewhat pointier, so I'm hoping I can get the eyes painted in, at least a little bit. I'm trying to remember if I painted the actual irises. At this particular stage, I don't believe I did. I was waiting for those to dry before going back. I'm just putting another coat on just to try and even it up a little bit. I think he's looking pretty good. And in focus as well, which is a bonus. I think at this point I just went back to the previous colour to just cut in a little bit more detail on those cheeks going up into the corner of the eyes. Reinforcing some of those colours. Up there, yep. I think, yes. I wasn't too happy, so I was just bringing a bit more of the highlights in a little bit. Especially that where the cheekbone goes up to the corner of the eye. That needed bringing in a bit more. Yeah, I'm happy with this guy. I'm going to bring out the Murderous magenta. So we have got a bit of a glaze going on. We're just going to drag that over the lower lip, corner of the eyes, underneath the eyes. We have to be a bit wary about adding too much, because it is a very strong color. So we're just going to drag that color into towards the sort of temple area, into the hairline underneath the cheeks. Got the lower lip. It was quite a heavy glaze in regard to sort of the amount of pigment in the paint. Other colors, you might need multiple passes with this. Pretty happy with this. I am wondering if I need to do a bit of sort of stubble along the lower jawline, around the chin, etc., with a tiny bit of turquoise. So I want to make sure I add a bit more colour to that lower lip. It's looking a bit, well, didn't look quite right. Now this is the point where I am concerned that I'm adding slightly too much, and looks like he might be. There we go. We've managed to get some of that scar as well. Getting that temple done, making sure we've got that little crease, dragging that towards the ear. Making sure we got some colour in there as well. Pretty happy about that. Going to wait for this layer to dry. When glazing, you got to wait for each layer to dry before going on to the next one. Otherwise, it will peel up the previous one, and then you'll have to try and smooth it all out all over again. Tiny bit more Murderous magenta. Getting that scar done because it wasn't quite looking quite as how I wanted it. I think looking back at this, the sort of bit underneath the cheeks, they are looking a bit too rosy for my liking. Now we're adding a glaze of Meridius blue onto the lower parts of the jaw. Going to require a couple of coats. Here we go again. That one was pretty pointless. This is going to sort of emulate potentially some 5 o'clock shadow. Depends how much one really puts on. I have to do a few more coats. It's appearing very, very subtly at this point. There we go. There we go. You can see that. You can see that bit of blue right there on the cheek, and that's slightly out of focus. I do apologize. This color is also quite strong, so you also have to be somewhat wary of it. I've put way too much on before, and he's looked like it looks like the miniature was going out on the town for a good old time. Can do a third coat. Oh, I think we might be. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think this is just about how I want it to look. However, do check me out on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon at whatever it is, /gloriousbadger. My name is the same all over. And yeah, this was a lot of fun to paint, and I will absolutely be very happy painting another one of these minis. Yeah, so make sure you like, follow, subscribe, whatever they are on YouTube. Do the things. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you, and goodbye.